Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Jack Goodall from Keeping Current Matters, where we help real estate professionals like you save time and build confidence as the go-to market expert. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us today. And speaking of market experts, I'm joined here by KCM's newly minted president and market expert, David Childers. David, I haven't had the chance to shout you out since your big fancy promotion, but just wanted to take the time to say thank you for joining us today and how lucky everyone here on this webinar is to have your knowledge and insights today.
Well, thank you, Jack, and grateful for that. Very grateful for it. Wasn't expecting that, but thank you for that. And I'm excited.
Had to. I missed the last one.
Yeah, to be here and be doing this. You know, so many people have shared it and I know wanted to join. We have a lot of people that are still joining right now, but so much happening in the market. Excited to talk about that for the next few minutes. Absolutely.
And maybe you've heard this. I know Dave said it before. So if you haven't, I'm going to say it one more time. Uncertainty is killing deals in real estate right now. There's absolutely no denying it. And it's no surprise why that is with everything that's going on around the country, around the globe right now. The question is, how can you provide certainty in an uncertain market? The truth is that the most educated agents are winning in today's market. So if you want to be the educated agent, the knowledge broker, the trusted expert, you've come to the right place here at KCM. Dave today, he's going to guide everyone through what's happening in housing right now, what's coming next for the market, and what that means for you and your clients. And most importantly, we're going to talk about how sharing and communicating all of this with confidence and with the right materials will translate into more opportunities, more success for you and your business. And the reality is you can't effectively communicate to your clients in a way that alleviates their concerns, motivates them, or gives them the confidence to make a powerful decision. If you can't do that, someone else will. So let's make sure that that's you. So with that, Dave, I think we can bring up the slides. Let's look at the agenda today and see what we're going to cover for the next 45 minutes or so. First up, it's a spring market update, everybody, with a focus on inventory. What's been the impact so far this year? Can we expect a more balanced market soon? Then we're going to look at increased inflation and interest rates. How are they affecting affordability for consumers? And is there some relief coming anytime soon? And we're going to take a look at one of the biggest areas that folks are talking about, the dreaded B word, bubble, of course. With rising home prices, is the market sustainable? Are we going to see a market crash? I can guarantee that your clients are asking these questions right now. So if you want to answer them with confidence, this webinar is for you. And at the end of this session, you're going to have everything you need to be the market expert so you can take advantage of the big opportunities in the spring market right now. Sound good? All right, I hope you're excited. I know we are. We've got tons of insights, tips, and something really, really special I can't wait to tell you about at the end. So I hope you stick around. And just a reminder, this is being recorded. Everyone's going to get a copy of this replay. So if you want to watch it and you don't catch everything, we'll send you an email tomorrow morning. The only way to get the slides, though, is to become a KCM member. So with that, Dave, I think we're ready to hop into our first topic.
All right. And Jack, I'm going to take the slides down here for just a second and talk for a minute as we get things kicked off. See so many people in the chat making comments there and got a lot of people that are joining, continue to join this webinar. And we're grateful for the time you've invested to learn and become the expert. You know, I always say, be the most knowledgeable agent on these topics in your market. And so just like Jack said, over the next 45 minutes or so, our plan is to give you all of that knowledge. But I do want to say on the front end of this, you know, it's hard to start a webinar like this and not acknowledge one of the questions that Jack just asked me that I responded to. A lot of people, you know, asking how the conflict in the Ukraine may affect us here in the United States and ultimately in the housing market. And certainly our hearts go out to those affected here and there and all of the ones that are impacted. And our prayer is it would end quickly, certainly in that. But if you think about the effect, I want to talk about that for just a minute because we're starting to see some of the effects and some that you see as well. The first effect that we can easily point to, you can look at the stock market right now and you know, there's a lot of instability in the world. What does the market not like is instability. And so you see, you know, the volatility and ultimately, you know, the drop in the stock market. And for a minute, I want to sort of, you know, kind of put the idea off the side that the stock market is just rich people. The workers in this country, school teachers, first responders, whoever it might be, have money in 401ks that are tied up in the stock market, and they feel that loss. I think it's something we need to be aware of in conversations. Many people may be thinking about buying or thinking about selling, have those conversations. And I'm going to go into this today, but if we think about that impact right now, where's the other area that people have the majority of their wealth tied up into, and that's in their home. And that is an area that we can be the knowledge brokers. We can bring the truth to the market. And I'm going to point out a couple of places today where I want you to either take a picture of the slide. If you're a KCM member, you can go download the slide and use it, but to get this information out. My ask of you as we spend the next 45 minutes together is don't let this information die with you right here. Be the agent that gets this information out. Be the agent that takes their local market information and says, here's what's happening nationally, but here's what's happening right where we're at. That's what I see agents that are winning doing in the market today. And we can be that guiding light. Jack said, uncertainty is killing deals, and that's absolutely right. But always remember this. In times of uncertainty, people follow the certain. And my job for the next few minutes is to give you certainly what's happening in the market. And so I'm going to start off with that first question that Jack mentioned. I'm going to share my slides here and we'll get started. But, Mike Simonson over at Altos Research, I'll kind of start here. I think he said it best. We keep watching for it, but there are absolutely no signs of a market slowdown anywhere in the data. If anything, we're seeing the market continue to heat up. The reason I started with this quote, because I think it articulates really, really well where we're at, because, we came through 2021, a lot of people saying, we'll go into the new year and maybe we'll start to, this get into the word that was being thrown around was a normal market. And we said, this market is anything but normal, maybe starting to see some moderation in the market, but we've got some new data to say, I think the market is heating up, and I'm going to show that to you today. But no doubt we're in an extremely competitive market. And there's sort of two positions, I would say, that are absolutely true about where we stand in real estate. And the first one is this. This is a look at active listings in this country going all the way back to January of last year. And you sort of see this rise, this fall, then rise, then drop again. We are in a time where active inventory is extremely low, lower than this time last year. You can see that this time last year, almost 500,000 active listings in this country, about 375 this time right now, right where we're at. Okay, that is a truth in the market. I saw a video, it was a week or two ago, Tom Toole put it out there. I don't know if Tom's on here or not, but he said, quit talking about low inventory and putting that negative energy in the market. And I have to agree with him, but it is a fact of life. It's certainly a fact that we need more listings, and I'm going to talk about that. That's the first fact. Here's the second thing that is absolutely true. We're setting records in this country for the number of homes that have been sold. Existing home sales just hit a 15-year high record. And so while low inventory is a fact, it is also a fact that we're selling more homes than we've sold before. And so that's where I'd like to start today is, where do you sit on that? Where do you sit on looking at that in your perspective? And I'm going to talk about perspective a lot as we go throughout the day and sort of end on that as well. But I would say for the agent that's ready for the business, it is absolutely there. And I would share this with people in your office, share this with the clients that you're serving, of the reality of today's market. And no doubt we're in an extremely competitive market that is fast moving. I think probably one of the graphics that I've seen that best describes the market that we're in is this one right here. This is the change in composite of active listings, composition of active listings each January going back to 2017. You see that the green area is the carryover from the previous month, and the blue is the new listings that were brought to market that month. And even though we're down, you see the new listings that have been brought to market aren't down as significantly as the carryover listings. What does that mean? This is a great image to use. Take a picture of it and share it and tag Keeping Current Matters because it shows the velocity of the market. As soon as something comes on the market, it sells. And I'm not suggesting that you don't know that. I know everybody here probably on this call knows that. But here's what I'm saying. It's our job right now to educate the clients we serve as to what's happening in the market. And this does a great job of it, to show the velocity of the market. Okay, so we know inventory is low. We know we're setting records. We know that things are selling very, very fast. So what do we see looking into the spring? I want to talk about that for a few minutes here. This first question of how's the market? What do we expect the market to be? And that's what I would be leading with right now. And I'll start here with a quote from Realtor.com, their senior economic research manager. With a slight retreat in interest rates, this week saw an advance in housing market activity as buyers sought to find the right home. So we're starting to see market activity advance. There are a lot of reasons for that. I'm going to talk about the impact of interest rates in the last couple of weeks, but no doubt we're coming out of the winter. We're coming out of all the stuff with Omicron and making our way forward. And you're seeing a lot of people say, okay, we want to do that. We want to do something. We've put off, putting our home on the market. I talked on the last webinar that we did about the pent-up demand that's in the market right now. If you missed that in January, you can go back and grab that and watch that and look at the change in home tenure. We can absolutely point to that to say there are a lot of people that put off decisions on listing their home over the last, 8 to 10 years that we believe will do so. So expect that market activity to pick up. Another fact in the market right now, we are looking at the most housing starts in January since 2006. Most recent information that we have, builders building. Now, there are a lot of headwinds that builders are facing right now from a number of different areas, from supply chain issues to all the things that we know about. But builders see the opportunity in this market. I don't think they're going to be able to build enough to totally alleviate the inventory shortages, but make no mistake about it, they are building, and they are building more homes than what they built going all the way back to 2006. So keep that in mind as you're out there looking. Expect to see more inventory, expect to see more building, and that certainly is going to be dependent upon where you're at. There are some areas where builders are actively building and doing that and moving the business forward, and some areas where they're not, where there maybe just isn't the land or there isn't the opportunity. But expect to see that and bring your local market knowledge into perspective there. Bring that to the table as you're talking with folks. Danielle Hale said this: while new listings have started on a somewhat weaker note and have trended below previous year levels since the beginning of 2022, the annual rate of decline has steadily improved over time and turned positive this week. Even after adjusting for the storm-related factors, the growth rate in newly listed homes remained positive, 3.2%, suggesting a breakthrough in housing supply. So we're already starting to see the start of that, more folks putting their homes on the market. Again, I mentioned builders are building, and expect to see that continue as we go throughout the spring. Now, I believe this spring is going to be a very competitive market, and I'll mention that here in just a minute through what experts are saying. But all of this put together, what does it mean? Many people saying, should we buy right now? Should we hold off? All of those questions. I think we're going to see a market where you're going to see appreciation, and you're going to see that above normal levels going into this year. And there are many people questioning that as we started off the year. And I'll give you this from CoreLogic. The average appreciation in this country going back for the last 20 years, 3.8%. And this is appreciation forecast for this year compared to what we've done in the last couple of years. 2020, 6% appreciation in residential real estate. 2021, 15%, and around 9.6, call that 10% projected appreciation in the coming year. And I think we're looking at somewhere between 8 and 10% appreciation in homes this year, if not more, due to some of the inflationary pressures that we're going to face, across businesses, housing just being one of those, but certainly the one that we're all most interested in. But I think we're going to see that appreciation be well above historical appreciation this year. Why is that important? And I'm going to get to this in that last question. It leads into this sustainability. Is this market sustainable? And this is different from 2008. But a lot of people looking at the appreciation in this country wondering, gosh, this doesn't feel right. And I'm concerned, and I'm going to handle that as we continue to talk. But I do believe, going back to what I just said, one of the biggest issues we're going to need to be fluent on, and we're going to need to have good answers for, is the inflation issue, because as prices rise, people are going to get concerned. And I'm not going to say that concern is going to totally throw them off or the real estate market off, but when they get concerned, they have questions. And our job is to have a relevant market opinion based upon fact to answer those questions. So let's look at this in the term of inflation. This comes from Investopedia. Real estate is one of the time-honored inflation hedges. That would be my message. If I haven't already gotten that out to my sphere, my database, if I have, I would say it again. It's a tangible asset, and those tend to hold their value when inflation reigns, unlike paper assets. More specifically, as prices rise, so do property values. It's going to be a big, big point that I think we're going to have to pay attention to. We need to have good answers to the questions and the concerns that those we're working with have about inflation. You know, the team here at KCM went back and looked at inflation going all the way back to the 70s. This is a graphic you're going to want to use. Take a picture of it right here. Home ownership as a hedge of against inflation. This is one that I think I would have on my phone, I would have on a tablet, wherever I'm out and about. If I'm talking to somebody about inflation, I would use this graphic. This is home price appreciation compared to consumer price increases going all the way back to the 70s. And you see the inflation rate there in blue and home price appreciation in green. So let's just look at it. Let's go back to the 70s. Inflation rate 7.1%, home price appreciation 9.9%. Better than inflation. What do you want to be in an inflationary economy? You want to be in an asset that outperforms inflation. What about the 80s? Neck and neck right there. A little bit more inflation, 5.6%. The 90s, home price appreciation outperformed. 2000s, well, we know there was something going on in the 2000s with the housing crisis. Inflation slightly outperforms housing. And then you go 2010s through 2021, we know what's happened there, massively outperformed the inflation rate. But I think this is a question that more and more folks are going to ask, that we need to be prepared to answer. I mentioned before what experts are saying about this market, and I'm going to turn it back over to Jack here in just a minute. But I think this is a summation of what we should expect for the spring market. It's this from Fortune Magazine. Now, more industry insiders are throwing out their previous forecast and replacing them with more bullish short-term outlooks. Indeed, some experts say the 2022 spring housing market might go down as one of the most competitive on record. And our job in today in this market update is to have you ready for that competitive market, have you and your team ready to be able to handle the questions and be the expert in this market. Because a lot of people are going to ask the question, should I buy right now? And I want to give you one more graphic before I turn it back over to Jack. And here is I think one of the best ways to articulate what's at stake in buying a home right now. It comes from the fourth quarter home price expectation survey of economists that look at home prices and say, what do you project on the average price home, $350,000 in this country between here and 2027? That equity gain, that appreciation gain, just over $89,000. So for those that are wondering, should I buy right now? Certainly don't want to convince somebody to do something they don't want to do, but I want them to be educated on what they stand to gain by buying a home. Certainly all the financial benefits, but take the non-financial benefits. We know home has become much, much more important for folks over the last couple of years. And so I think right now our job is to help those individuals that are in the market right now make a powerful and confident decision about buying a home. So